Hey, what's up, everybody? I am trying to learn how to work this sticky thing. It is very different than being on a treadmill, right? So I decided to come outside. And here's what I'm thinking is that we are all stuck in the house, or at least limiting our interaction with one another. But the other thing that I find is that we may be at risk for what's called metabolic syndrome, and we need to know so that we don't set ourselves up for being more at risk. Now I got to figure out which way to go because it's a car. They cutting grass down there, so I don't want that. Ooh, no, I don't want that. Okay, let me go this way. So, being at risk for metabolic syndrome. So, what is metabolic syndrome? It is a domino effect of hey, Andrea, it's a domino effect. A syndrome is a collection of signs and symptoms, okay? So it's a domino effect. Obesity or overweight, at least 20 pounds or more. Then because you have this excess weight, now your heart is pumping harder. You have this increased volume, so now you're at risk for hypertension. All right. Hey, girl, hey. All right. And then because you are eating and maybe you have a sedentary lifestyle, and of course, now we all have maybe a sedentary lifestyle. I don't know. We got to keep ourselves moving, right? So you go to the doctor possibly and they say, oh, your cholesterol is up high. So then they want to put you on cholesterol medicine. So now you have high cholesterol. That's number 3. And then you set yourself up for being at risk for diabetes. And when I talk about diabetes, I'm talking about diabetes type 2, okay? So what's the difference between diabetes type 1 and type 2? Diabetes type 1 is where your pancreas is deficient. Your pancreas is the gland. Hey, Sean. Your pancreas is the gland that produces insulin. And so if there's a deficiency in your pancreas and you're not producing insulin, oh no, a dog. Now, come on. I can't run, but I will. Okay, so diabetes type 1, you have a deficient pancreas. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about diabetes type 2, okay? Diabetes type 2, we set ourselves up for being at risk for that because we have a sedentary lifestyle. We have a tire belly. How many of us have a tire belly? Men, there's so many dogs barking, y'all, I'm nervous. Lord have mercy, keep the dogs away. Men, your gut shouldn't be any wider or rounder than 40 inches, and women, ours shouldn't be any rounder than 35. Okay, so tire belly. And then the other thing that puts us at risk is the fact that we continue to eat foods that cause our insulin level to be raised all the time. So now think about that. Are you a person who's at risk for diabetes type 2? Diabetes type 2 means that you have a pancreas that is producing insulin, but it might not be producing enough insulin, or your cells no longer respond to the insulin. It's like this. How many of you got kids? Anybody got kids out there? Put in a comment. Yep, I got kids. Yep, I got kids. Put in a comment. You got kids. You had kids. You got grandkids. Hey, Bishop. It's like this. When your kids keep calling your name over and over and over again, like they calling some of y'all names right now because y'all in the house with them. Whoo, I'm so glad my kids are grown. Okay. And you ignore them or you tune them out. You've gotten to the point where you don't even hear them. That's how it is with your cells and the insulin. The insulin is not allowing the cells to respond. So think about this. What if insulin was a key and it opened the door to the cells to let the blood sugar in? Or think about this. You ever been to a church where they got nasty ushers and the usher don't want to let you in? Think about that. That the insulin is that nasty usher and they don't want to let you in. They don't want to let you in. They want you to stand out there while the pastor is praying and going on. So think about that. Insulin is a key that unlocks the cell that lets the sugar in, or blood glucose. That's what sugar is called. It's called glucose, okay? So in diabetes type 2, the key isn't working, or it doesn't respond as quickly or as readily as it did before. And so what happens is the glucose then builds up in your blood. And that's when they say, old folks used to say, I got sugar in my blood. Well, the blood sugar now is elevated in your blood, and that means that your cells are not using the blood sugar for energy. Does that make sense? Somebody tell me if it makes sense. Somebody talking to me? Anybody talk to me? So I am only talking to diabetes type 2 individuals or people who could be at risk for diabetes type 2. That's who I'm talking about. Because listen, this can be prevented. And now that we are in this crisis of being in the house and having to limit our interaction or some of our activity, we're at risk for eating more than we normally would eat, because some of us don't have anything to do. So you get bored and you just start eating and eating and eating and eating. Hey, Damon, how you, son? And we just start eating out of boredom, emotion. Some of us are fearful. How you doing? Some of us are fearful, anxious. So you start emotionally eating more than you normally would. Our activity is decreased. So we set ourselves up for being at risk for diabetes type 2. So these are the people that I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people who could be at risk for diabetes type 2. So again, let me tell you who is at risk. If we are 20 pounds or more overweight, we have a sedentary lifestyle where we sitting a lot, or we don't have as much activity as we could. We're not getting out going for a walk. And I know sometimes when you get older and you don't use your muscles, you don't use the ability for us. So I know you've heard that if you don't use it, you lose it. You start aching. Let me tell you about diabetes and how it can affect, hey, don't wish for it, work for it, how it can affect your limbs. Maybe you've never heard this term, so I want to introduce you to another term, okay? It's called diabetic neuropathy. Neuro meaning nerve, and pathy meaning disease, neuropathy. If you read the word, you'll know how to spell it. Oh my God, let me get away from him in this grass. If you read the word and you don't know how to spell it, you'll know how to pronounce it, you'll call it neuropathy. It means that you have a disease or tingling. Here are the signs and symptoms. They're tingling and painful in your feet and your limbs because of all the blood glucose that's built up in your limbs. And so there are so many other things that I could share with you, but today I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we are at risk for metabolic syndrome. And I want you to do an assessment of yourself to see, am I at risk? So let me tell you what, thank you, ma'am, for putting that on there. Let me tell you again, for those of you who are joining later, watching the replay, what is metabolic syndrome? It starts like this, okay? You ready? It starts like this. Obesity, where we are 20 pounds or more overweight. You got a tired belly or getting there, okay? And then, okay, I'm back on my street. Praise God. All this grass cutting. Lord help my sinus. All right. And then, hey, Jaquita. And then we move to hypertension or high blood pressure. And then you move to high cholesterol. And then that sets you up for risk for diabetes. And then what does that set us up at risk for? Stroke, heart disease. So do you see how it's a domino effect? Let us learn how to prevent or decrease the risk of heart disease and stroke. How do we do that? Hey girl, how are you? I'm hoping all things are well. It's a domino effect. So let's prevent these things. Let's prevent the risk of heart disease and the risk of stroke. How do we do that? Let's decrease the risk of high cholesterol. How do we do that? Let's decrease the risk of hypertension. How do we do that? Let's decrease the risk of obesity. How do we do that? That's what I want to tell you about. See, if we can get to the core, the root of that, then it's a domino effect, right? Like bowling ball. If we can knock down that pin in the right spot, we can knock down all of that. And then we don't have to worry about going to the doctor and they want to put you on. Let me tell you how this works. You go to the doctor and then they want to put you on high cholesterol medicine. That affects your liver. You only got one. That affects your liver. Then they want to change your diet. Now, let me say this. I love the medical profession. I have been a nurse for over 29 years. I've been a nursing instructor. I love what I do. And I thank God for the intelligence that he's given me. But I also know this. These things are nutritional. They're nutritional and they're activity. And so when people say, well, my mama had diabetes, my grandmama had diabetes, and I inherited it. Maybe, but how about I say this to you? You inherited the diet habits. Somebody say yeah, say amen. That deserve an offering right there, and I got Cash App this time. Yes, you inherited the eating habits, and that has produced the diabetes that runs in your family. Okay, so let's change our mindset. If you've been with me for any time, you know I'm all about elevated mind style creates an elevated lifestyle. So let's elevate our mind style. At this time, in this season, with all of this going on, here's what was told to me today, and I want to share it with you. Let's not be distracted by Corona. Let's observe it, but not absorb it. Let's observe it, but not absorb it. Let's take this time to learn something new. And the new that I want to share with you is well within my capability. And I want to share with us how to decrease our risk of this metabolic syndrome. And we are going to start with decreasing the risk of obesity. And if we can start there, then my God, we probably could save a lot of generations to come, because these are habits that we pass down from generation to generation to generation. And so I just want to share that with you. Now, let me give you an assignment. Okay? Here's what you want to do, because you need to do an assessment of your life, and you need to do an assessment of your family's life, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your kids, your grandmama, your mama, your papa, your sister, your friend, your sister girl. Let's do an assessment. Men, is your gut, your belly tire, is it over 40 inches? Sisters, you may have to measure it for them, because, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Sisters, ours should be 35. Stop. Don't distract me. Don't wish for it. Don't work. Wish for it. Don't work for it. 35 inches. Okay. So let's measure our gut. Let's measure our tire belly. And if you're not there, pay attention to how close you are there. Pay attention. Is your gut sitting on your lap? Is it sweating all underneath there? You got to put powder under there. You got to lift it up to wash it. Come on, let's be real. Because I'm gonna get down into it. I'm going to be serious about it, okay? When you sit down, do you put stuff underneath your belly to hold it there? It's funny, because I used to do it. It's funny. When you in the shower and you wash, do you got to do yoga positions to get to your goodies, to get to your booty? Don't watch me if you don't want the truth. And if you don't like what I'm saying, sign off, because I'm going to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Because listen, we have the opportunity right now to make a decision. We are right at a decision-making moment. Because since we have decreased activity and we have to stay in the house as much as we possibly can, we are at risk for overeating, eating emotionally, eating because we haven't decided some other things that we're going to do, eating because we are now not as in control of our lifestyle as we usually are. Listen, this is an opportunity right now to realize that God is totally, totally in control. And what is it that I'm going to do with the time that I have? Am I going to read more? Am I going to start working on my body? What is it that you're going to do? Figure it out. Write your book. I'm convicted. Don't say nothing. Wish for it, don't work for it. Don't you say a word. Listen, metabolic syndrome. Are you at risk? For those of you who joined late, go back and watch the replay. And you don't have to say if you're at risk. I want to make sure that you do the assignment. The assignment is to measure your waist. You need to do the assessment of your body. Measure your waist and see. Men, 40 inches or less. Women, 35 inches or less. I'll tell you something else too. Your waist should be half of your height. Now that's funny. Have you ever met somebody who's as wide as they are tall? I have. That's all I'm gonna say today. I am talking specifically to diabetics, diabetes type 2. That's who I'm talking to today. All right? Y'all, thanks for joining me. I have done my walk for today. I feel really good. I want you to remember this. I am Nicole. That's Nicole spelled with 2 E's. Elevated mind style creates an elevated lifestyle. And I'm going to see you on the next video. Let me know you did the homework. Put it down in there. You don't have to put your inches. Don't put your inches. Don't tell all your business now. I know that your mama told you. Don't tell all your business. But put it in the comment section. Yes, I did my homework. And then I want you to join me tomorrow when I go into a little bit more detail. And every day I'm going to give you an assignment, because we cannot let this happen. We cannot fight the virus and then come out and we got other diseases that we could control and prevent and decrease the risk. I'll see you all on the next video.